Hey everybody, how's it going? Dan Schinder here with,
Steven Schinder.
and we are Yesshift. We talk about yes and the shifts of yes. We used to talk about something else, but we changed.
Yeah, and this is also kind of like a work shift in a way, you know?
It is a
Like,
work shift for us, yeah. And it's also Hoodie Monday. We both got hoodies on.
yeah.
It's Oliver Wakeman's birthday, who we're going to be talking to soon about something special behind the scenes that you'll all find out about. But it's his birthday, and we're going to celebrate with that time he followed his dad's footsteps in a different direction and was part of the Strawbs.
Yeah, so this was actually concurrently with his time in Yes. You know, he was with Yes from 2008 to 2011-ish. But with Strawbs, he was with them for 2009, recording their album of that year, Dancing to the Devil's Beat, and he played shows with them, and even appeared on a couple tracks on their live album, Strawbs' 40th anniversary celebration called Strawberry Fayre. That's spelled Fayre. So yeah, it's quite fascinating. And when we had David Cousins on our show a few months ago, he talked about how like Strawbs was the like a band that was able to get not just Rick and Oliver, but also Adam, like each at different points, which is really funny.
Yeah, that's cool. Like, talk about a hat trick or a trifecta. That's like all three of them.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's anything that the three of them have done other than that. Now that I think of it, yeah, Steve.
Right. Well, maybe there's like a Rick Wakeman concert that could have had all three of them. I'd have to like look into it, but yeah, it's quite a
trick. Remember something they did at home with their sister and maybe the other brother as well.
Yeah, that sounds vaguely familiar, but I'd have to look into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Dancing to the Devil's Beat. So I think for context, before the David Cousins interview, I did a deep dive of the discography. So this was my second time with this album, and I think you know, you listened to the magic of it all before we talked with David Cousins about it, and now you've listened to this one. So what are your general thoughts on this one and Oliver's playing on it?
I love both, and I mean that. Like, folks, Steve and I, and hello to the Drum Talk TV fans that are watching as well, and Yesshift fans, of course. We don't compliment to kiss ass or anything. Like, if there's something we're not in favor of, we'll say so, and we're not shy about that. There's very little that's happened with, actually, though, because this is like our favorite music. But I do genuinely love this album, and I'm curious, before I spill my beans on this topic, but was it reminiscent to you of anything, any of the sounds or production or anything? There's a couple of things that reminded me of something completely outside of it.
I think there was a keyboard sound in, I think it might have been in Where Silent Shadows Fall, that remind me a bit of the keyboard sounds in And You and I, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I don't know. For the most part, I was just thinking of this as Strawbs. There wasn't really anything else that it was reminding me of. So I'm really curious to hear like what that was for you.
Yeah, for me, there's a couple spots, and I'm always stepping around this kind of gingerly, but I think it's fun to bring up. And I say stepping around it gingerly because I don't want to offend the band or any artist if it's, oh, it's nothing like that. You know what I mean? We all, as music fans, listeners, have our own perception, but there's some aspects of the vocals that kind of reminded me of Fish from Marillion a bit.
Oh, okay.
And even a Marillion-esque influence to it. However, it's the other way around because the Strawbs came first, of course. So I hear that maybe Marillion was into the Strawbs. So I found that interesting, as well as some of the song scape some of the songscape stuff reminded me a little bit of either Adam Hart Mother or some other old Pink Floydish
Oh
kind of.
yeah, there was definitely one song where it felt like psychedelic Pink Floyd. So
Yeah.
I totally got that vibe on one of
Even the
these.
first song kind of gave me that reminiscent, and Fish's voice as well to a degree. So I thought that was cool. But don't get me wrong, folks, definitely has its own sound as an album and as the band. I like this album a lot.
Yeah, so I'll read off the track list real quick. First, we have Revenge Can Be So Sweet, then Beneath the Angry Sky, Copenhagen, Pro Patria Suite, which includes Back Along, All for Each Other, and Home is Where the Heart Was Ever. Where Silent Shadows Fall, The Man Who Would Never Leave Grimsby, The Ballad of Jay and Rosemary, Dancing to the Devil's Beat, and Oh How She Changed 2009. So I quite like how this is structured. I feel like the first two tracks and the last two tracks are kind of a bit more upbeat, up tempo,
Yeah.
rocking, and then with tracks in the middle, you get like a bit gentler stuff and kind of moody in a couple places. So I feel like it's a really good structure the way that the tones are kind of sandwiched in this way.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just about to say, so Oliver's sole writing credit on this album was for the third part of that suite, which is called Home is Where the Heart Was Ever. And that's the one where there's like that church organ
Yeah.
sound. So, yeah, and it's kind of brief, but he does have a presence on like the second part of that as well with the like gentle sound, like All for Each Other, and on some of these as well. And um, like I mentioned, he was on a couple live tracks on that live album Strawberry Fayre, particularly the songs Sheep and Autumn. And listening to those, it's really fascinating how he's able to blend that sort of organ sound and that sort of I guess I'll call it that Wakemanism type sound, like blending those together like in one place. Like I think it's cool how he was able to manage that.
Yeah. When you refer to the Wakemanism sound, are you referring to the synth, that classic synth sound for the
Yeah,
mini moog? Yeah.
yeah. So I think he fit in pretty well uh, with the band during that time. And you know, on this album, I also, you know, even just like apart from his playing, I quite like how uh, you know, the ballad, or which song was it? Oh, The Man Who Would Never Leave Grimsby. It listening to that, it was kind of surprising, like how meta it was, like talking about a Strawbs fan. And yeah, like there's a lot to like on this album. Like it has like a nice, it has some nice stuff that really speaks to the soul, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. The production is great too. It's nice and, to me, big and wide. Me. I love that kind of stuff. When Mike Stone did the first Asia album in 1852 or whenever that came out, just that sound was so like next level modern, and this keeps up with the times production wise, which I love hearing a band that's been around forever that has a now sound but hasn't compromised or mailed it in or sold out or anything like that. This definitely delivers.
Yeah. What do you think of the album cover with the dog? And I guess that's like a popsicle. So I
Yeah,
imagine it's probably strawberry flavored because, like, why
right.
wouldn't it be?
And our word vlog is covering the top of that, and I can't reposition that. But Strawbs dancing with the devil's beat, I don't understand how the cover relates to or any of the songs. I don't get it. I think it's cute. We're both huge dog lovers, and I think it's just a weird angle. But I'm pretty sure that that's either a Chihuahua or almost looks like a young greyhound or something, but yeah, it's brown. So I'm not sure what breed that is, but that giant tongue. Does Elias? Steve has a Chihuahua. Does Elias have a giant like giraffe tongue like that?
I don't think it's that gigantic. Yeah, I don't know.
It's just odd that it doesn't fit the title like whatsoever, unless I'm missing something.
Yeah, like I'm not sure either, but like this feels like very different from some of the other album covers we've seen. I know there's another one that has like an illustration of a dog on it. It's called Blue Angel, and that came out a few years or several years before this one. But this one, it looks more like a photo of a
Yeah,
dog, and
yeah,
I don't know. It definitely stands out. So, like, I don't know. Maybe if you're at the record store or music store or whatever, and you see like the CD's cover, it might catch your eye, and you'll be like, "Oh, what's this?"
yeah.
Like if you're not so familiar with the Strawbs, you might be inclined to like check it out, see what it's all about, you know?
Hey, I wonder if we could get Roger Dean to do this album cover. No, I want to use my dog, and check this out. He happens to love strawberry popsicles. Like, how did that meeting go down that this was the cover, and what didn't get used? I always find that sort of a fascinating behind the scenes thing, the whole story of how, all this comes about.
Right, yeah. Because when making an album cover, like sometimes you want to make something that goes with the band's identity, at least in some fashion. And sometimes it'll be consistent with previous covers, or in other instances, maybe they'll try to make each album unique. That's something that Caligula's Horse is very conscious about, trying to make each album cover a different style.
Mm-hmm.
So here it definitely feels unique, but still has that strawberry flavor to it, which goes well with Strawbs.
Yeah.
And ultimately, like, you also want to make it eye catching for people who are browsing, and it definitely is eye catching. So I quite like it.
Yeah, I do too. It is eye catching and it's different. It's a bit provocative because it's like, well, what's the deal with that if the
Yeah.
name of the album is Dancing to the Devil's Beat? Like,
Yeah. I don't know. I think maybe the title is kind of like, getting really energetic and just like being loose and, dancing to the music type thing. Like that's kind of the vibe I get.
Pop Dave Cousins, pop David a note and just ask him what is up with this, and we'll cover it. I think it's interesting.
Yeah. And we have a few fan comments, but
Cool.
should I read those first, or did you want to play the clip first?
Go for the fan stuff first, then we'll do the clip.
Okay. So we got Greg Kidd, who said, another great Strawbs record. They were on a roll. And then we have Amon Harvey, who says, yes, very talented man. I remember going to a Strawbs gig when David Cousins used to do his old lady opening a Christmas present gag, and Oliver was in bits laughing.
Oh, wow.
Chris and Pat Barton, so maybe it's one of them or both of them or something, says, I remember standing up and whooping as he played Where is the Dream, just like his dad. And then we have Jim Henson, who says, saw him with Yes, great show. And then Diane Copeland says, saw him on the House Squire White tour, really enjoyed him. So that would have been back in 2008. Like, some people kind of forget that when they were touring with Oliver and Benoit, at first they were advertising themselves as House, Squire, and White of Yes. And then by the next year, it was just Yes. I guess because it would have been really long to fit it on a ticket next to Asia on the ticket stub or something. That's my guess. And then Chavez Carlos says, Oliver from Mexico, enjoy your day. Robin Muse says, happy birthday, wishing you an amazing day. And we actually got a comment from David Cousins because I shared this live clip that we're about to show around in a few groups, one of them being a Strawbs group. And he saw it there and said, Oliver is an extraordinary player. It's great to see this again. It was a joy working with you. All the best. So yeah.
Awesome. David, let us know what's up with the album cover. What's the story behind that? I would love to know. Um, that'd be cool. That'd be a great
Yeah.
story because it's just so different from the title of the album.
Yeah, for sure.
Interesting. Okay, so should we show the clip?
Yeah.
All right. So I'll let you set it up while I bring it up. You can tell everybody what it is.
Yeah, so I basically found this on YouTube. This was an encore performance at a show on March 10th, 2009. I almost said 2009 for some reason, but it was in Toronto at a place called Hughes Room. And the user who uploaded the full video of this is named Jeff Ferguson. So y'all can check out that channel. Just type in Strawbs Live 2009 in YouTube and you should be able to find it.
Cool. Check it out. Let's and then we'll come back and see if Dave has an answer. Here we go, folks. Check it. I wonder where you learned to do that. If you're just joining us, there's the birthday boy, Oliver Wakeman, jamming out. Band sounds great there.
Yeah, and I see we have more comments from someone in the chat. So this is Bella Lugrisi from Charlottesville, Virginia, who says, the one time I saw Oliver was with Yes at the DC Harbor, and one song in it started storming. No one left. Everyone piled in the bar tent, and 30 minutes later, they came back, and Ollie's keys were dead. Oh, dang. That's not, I vaguely remember hearing about that, actually. So he says, so he played tambourine, then it poured again, and that was it. Gonna check this out for sure. So I guess he's referring to the Strawbs album we talked about. And he's also says, chip off the old block. Happy birthday, Oliver.
Nice.
So yeah, what'd you think of that clip, Dad?
I love it. I love his playing. You know, Rick is, gosh, really, it's a tie between him. I don't have a favorite keyboard player. It's tied between three. It's Rick Wakeman, Keith Emerson, and John Lord. I just think all three were masters in their own right. And you could tell he picked up so much from his dad, yet he sounds like himself, especially when he was doing that organ work. When he came back from the synthesizer, he's got that organ technique down. Just such a good player, as is Adam, of course, too. But I love that clip. And like I said, the band sounds really good, too. It's a cool jam. How about you?
Yeah, I love it. It has, it's full of a lot of energy. And I imagine like being there in person, it like really gets people, like, it gets the blood pumping, gets everyone hyped and really into the music. And I remember when we had David on, he said that Oliver had like some of the same mannerisms as his dad, and it was kind of uncanny. And now like Adam was kind of like the jokester, like when we were asking like what the difference was between them. So
Right.
it's really funny how that works. But yeah, of course, Oliver has done like some solo stuff and collaborations, which we've talked about. And he's got an album that he's been working on for maybe a year at least. So hopefully it comes out sometime this year, called Onam Kara. In fact, I'm going to look up and see like what is, because I think he posted an update on that at some point.
While you look that up, I'll play a bit more of that clip. Check it out,
Okay.
folks. Ripping away, man.
Yeah. So his most recent update on Amkara was this is on the 14th. He said, "Great couple of days. I was listening to the masters for 2 new projects on the same day. One for the Anamkara album, due for pre-release really soon, and the master for the film soundtrack I've been working on for the last few months. Both very different from each other." So yeah, he's definitely keeping busy, which is great. And
I believe this picture here is from him working on that score, correct?
no, that's from his tribute to. So that's a post about his tribute to the late Ian Lavender, who passed away recently.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ian passed away earlier this month, and I think it would have been his birthday recently as well. So Oliver said, "Very sad to hear of the passing of Ian Lavender. I worked with him when I performed King Arthur with Rick Wakeman, his dad, at the O2. There was a moment when it was just myself and Ian playing to the audience for one of his wonderful narration parts, a very special moment." So I think that was back in 2016, if I remember correctly. Ian did the narration on the re-recorded version of King Arthur, which I really need to give a listen sometime to like compare and contrast.
Yeah, and is there a DVD or video of him doing King Arthur with Rick? I didn't even know about it.
Yeah, I'd have to look that up, but what was I gonna say? But
comparing the two King Arthurs.
Yeah, no, I had another thought though. Geez, what was it? Well, in the meantime, Dave Walkinson says superb. So yeah. And yeah, so gosh, I forgot what I was gonna say. This is embarrassing.
That's okay. Maybe it'll come back to you. And
yeah, I remember. So Rick also posted like in his own words, like his own written tribute about Ian Lavender on his website, rwcc.com. So Yeah, so people can go there and read his tribute. He called Ian Lavender a best friend, which
Oh, wow.
really says something right there.
Yeah. No word
Um,
from David Cousins on the album cover?
no, maybe he's not watching right now, but maybe he'll watch later, possibly. Yeah. Um, but yeah, Oliver is keeping himself busy, and last we heard, he's gonna be playing stuff from a Page and his solo and collaboration stuff at the Winter's End Festival in April, which Stephen Lamb is a host of that. And actually, I saw recently that Stephen Lamb announced the release date for his book on 90125, which comes out in
Oh,
July. So
right.
we'll have to try to see if we can get him on the show again to talk about that.
That would be great.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that we got a book about Tormato before we got a book focused on 90125, right?
Yeah. I love that book too.
Yeah, by Kevin. Yeah. And Oliver did the forward for that. So
Yep.
Tormato is a favorite of his as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
So, yeah. So, again, happy birthday to Oliver Wakeman. And we eagerly look forward to your works that are coming out.
Yep.
So, yeah. And again, like a great person to talk to. It was cool talking to him the couple of times we've had him on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're watching Oliver, we look forward to a little meeting we're going to have next week. And happy birthday. Enjoy it with your family. I'm sure you're chasing your daughter around right now, or she's chasing you around. Not sure who's watching who.
Yeah.
But
like,
happy birthday.
like, don't make a mess in the house. Like, don't drop anything.
Yeah. Good luck with that. All right. Anything else, Steve?
No, I think we're good.
Cool. You want to let everyone know what we have coming up?
Yeah, so we have, I know Chris Squire's birthday is coming up on March 4th, so we'll have an episode there. We also have like some, I think a couple interviews coming up. Let me just open up. Okay, here it is.
Yeah, you read off the Drum Talk TV ones too, since we're there as well right now.
Yeah. Well, for Drum Talk TV, you've got Harvey Lee, author of Backstage Pass, coming on tomorrow at 8 a.m. Pacific. So that'll be 4 p.m. UK time. For March 1st, you've got John Weathers from Gentle Giant on Drum Talk TV at 8 a.m. Pacific. So that's Friday. And then, yeah, Monday, March 4th, we're doing a Chris Squire birthday episode at noon Pacific. And then Derek Schulman, another Gentle Giant, I guess you could say, coming on to Yesshift on Wednesday.
Very excited about both
March
those guys.
6th at noon Pacific. And then, yeah, there are a few other things going on that month, but I think I'll read it up to there for now.
Okay, cool. And yeah, John Weathers, huge influence on me. Just Gentle Giant. I wish they would do something. The music is just so good. Still one of my favorite concerts to watch or listen to, like when I'm cooking or something like that, is the 1972 or the 1974 live broadcasts of them playing. Not it's all video too. It's not just audio. Just love those two films of them playing. And John Weathers, just such a great drummer and such a perfect fit for that band as well. So very much looking forward to having him on, a personal drumming hero of mine, and hopefully exposing him and the likes of his playing and his bandmates, his backup band, Gentle Giant, to some folks that aren't familiar with their music.
Right, yeah.
So it'll be fun. So folks, you can follow us. Don't know where you're seeing us now or hearing us, but we're on anchor.fm/Yesshift. We're at youtube.com/@Yesshift and facebook.com/Yesshift. They can send us hate mail too, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, you can email yesshiftpodcast@gmail.com. And yeah, feedback, hate mail, like whatever.
Yeah. And at Anchor, there's a donate button. If anyone's got an extra 10 grand laying around, we'll donate most of it.
Right. Sure.
Thanks,
All right.
everybody,
Thanks,
for following
everyone.
what we do.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Take care. Bye, everyone.